Now this video tutorial will teach you how to crochet legs of the bear. We need to work 2 legs in total. First, work it into a chain. Pinch where the line crosses with your thumb and a middle finger. Tie a knot. Put a hook under the yarn. Counterclockwise. Let me show you again. Put a hook under the yarn. Counterclockwise. There's 1 loop on the hook. Pinch where the line crosses with your thumb and the middle finger. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. Tighten it. Working into a chain is done. Now let's start making round 1. In round 1, we need to work 5 chains. The first chain. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. A chain is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is 1 stitch. This is the back loop only of the stitch. This is the front loop only of the stitch. Place a marker on the back loop only of the stitch. The second chain. Yarn around the hook, put the loop on the hook. The third chain. Yarn around the hook, put the loop on the hook. The fourth. The fifth. 5 chains are done. Now let's skip the first chain and we start crochet from the back loop only of the second stitch. Then work a single shade in the back loop only of the next 3 chains. The first single shade. Insert a hook into back loop only of the second stitch. Hook the yarn, pull up a loop through the stitch. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. A single shade is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. Place a marker on the both strands of the V. This is where we insert a hook to start the next round. The second single shade. Insert a hook into back loop only of the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. The second single shade is done. The third one. Insert a hook into back loop only of the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. The third single shade is done. Then work 3 single shades in this back loop only of the marked stitch. That is to work 3 single shades in 1 stitch. Remove the marker. Insert a hook in the first stitch, work single shade first. A single shade is done. Then insert a hook in the same stitch and work the second single shade. Put the yarn aside. The second single shade is done. Then insert a hook in the same stitch and work another single shade. Hide this yarn. Three single shades are done. Then crochet in the front loop only. This way. Don't mistake it. Then work single shade in the front loop of the next 2 chains. The first. The second. 2 crochets are done. Then work an increase in the front loop only of the next stitch. An increase work in 2 crochets in the same stitch. Instead of hooking the stitch, work a single crochet first. A single crochet is done. Then instead of hooking the same stitch and work another single crochet. An increase is done. The first set is done. We are working a spiral, so we don't need to work slip stitch and turning chain. Now let's start making round 2. In round 2, first work an increase. An increase means work in 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Remove the marker. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work a single crochet first. A single crochet is done. Place a marker on the first stitch. And remember to do that on the first stitch of every round. Then instead of hooking the same stitch and work another single crochet. An increase is done. Now work 2 single crochets. 1, 2. 2 single crochets are done. Now work 3 increases. 1, 2, 3. 3 increases are done. Then work 2 single crochets. 2 single crochets are done. Now work 2 increases. 2 increases are done. The second set is done. Next, work round 3. First, work a single crochet. Remove the marker. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work a single crochet first. Place a marker on the first stitch. Then work an increase. An increase means working 2 single crochets in the same stitch. An increase is done. Now work 2 single crochets. 2 single crochets are done. Now we need to repeat the set of 1 single crochet, 1 increase for 3 times. The first set, work single crochet first. Then work an increase. An increase is done. The first set is done. The second set, work single crochet first. Then work an increase. The second set is done. The third set, a single crochet first. Then work an increase. Three sets are done. Now work 2 single crochets. Two single crochets are done. Now we need to repeat the set of 1 single crochet, 1 increase for 2 times. The first set, work single crochet first. Then work an increase. The first set is done. The second set, a single crochet first. Then work an increase. The second set is done. Round 3 is finished. Now from round 4 to 5, we all need to work 22 crochets in each round, that is work 1 crochet in every stitch. Round 4. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work the first crochet. The first crochet is done. Place a marker on the first stitch. Instead of hooking the next stitch, work the second crochet. The second crochet is done. The third crochet. The fourth. Four crochets are done. Continue work remaining 18 crochets in the same way. We need to work 22 crochets in total. We will skip the repeated parts. 22 crochets are done. Round 4 is finished. Now let's start working round 5. The same way as round 4. Also need to work 22 crochets. We'll skip the repeated parts. Round 5 is finished. Now let's start working round 6. In round 6, first work 6 crochets. Six crochets are done, then work 3 decreases. A decrease means to combine 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Let's zoom in. This is a stitch. This is the front loop of this stitch. This is the next stitch. This is the front loop of the next stitch. We need to insert hooking the front loop of the adjacent stitches separately. Now I will show you. Insert hooking the front loop of this stitch. Insert hooking the front loop of the next stitch. There are 3 loops on the hook. Hook the yarn and place the first 2 loops. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Then hook the yarn and place the last 2 loops. A decrease is done. The second decrease. Insert hooking the front loops of the adjacent stitches separately. There are 3 loops on the hook. Hook the yarn and place the first 2 loops. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Then hook the yarn and place the last 2 loops. The second decrease is done, the third one. Insert a hook in the front loop of adjacent stitches separately. There are 3 loops on the hook. Hook the yarn and place the first 2 loops. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Then hook the yarn and place the last 2 loops. 3 decreases are done. Now work 7 crochets. Seven crochets are done, then work a decrease. Insert a hook in the front loop of adjacent stitches separately. There are 3 loops on the hook. Hook the yarn and place the first 2 loops. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Then hook the yarn and pull the last 2 loops. A decrease is done. Then work a single crochet. A single crochet is done. Round 6 is finished. Now let's start making round 7. Work 5 single crochets first. Five single crochets are done. Then work 3 decreases. The first one. Insert a hook into front loops of adjacent stitches separately. There are 3 loops on the hook. Hook the yarn and pull the first 2 loops. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Then hook the yarn and pull the last 2 loops. A decrease is done. The second one. The third one. Three decreases are done. Then work 7 single crochets. Seven single crochets are done. Round 7 is finished. Now from round 8 to 9 we all need to work 15 single crochets. That is, work 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now let's start making round 8. Insert a hook into the first stitch, work the first single crochet. A single crochet is done, place a marker on the first stitch. Insert a hook into the next stitch, work the second single crochet. The second single crochet is done, the third, the fourth. 4 single crochets are done. Continue work remaining 11 single crochets in the same way. We need to work 15 single crochets in total. We'll skip the repeated parts. 15 single crochets are done. Round 8 is finished. Now let's start working round 9 by using the same way as the round 8. Also need to work 15 single crochets and we'll skip the repeated parts. Round 9 is finished. Now let's stuff the filling cotton into the fabric. Stuff the filling cotton as much as possible. You can leave a little space for the rest of crocheting. After finishing this, let's start making round 10. In round 10, we need to repeat a set of 3 single crochets, 1 decrease for 3 times. The first set, work 3 single crochets first. Three single crochets are done, then work a decrease. A decrease is done. The first set is done. The second set. The second set is done. The third set. 3 sets are done, round 10 is finished. Now let's start making round 11. In round 11, we need to work 12 single shades. Four single shades are done. Continue work remaining 8 single shades in the same way. We need to work 12 single shades in total. We'll skip the repeated parts. 12 single shades are done. Now let's start making round 12. In round 12, we need to repeat a set of 2 single shades, 1 decrease for 3 times. A decrease means to combine 2 stitches into 1 stitch, the first set. Work 2 single shades. Two single shades are done, then work a decrease. A decrease is done, the first set is done. The second set, work 2 single shades. Then work a decrease. The second set is done. The third set, work 2 single shades. Then work a decrease. Three sets are done. Round 12 is finished. Now from round 13 to 15, we all need to work 9 single shades in each round. That is to work 1 single shade in every stitch. Now let's start making round 13. Remove the marker. 1, 2, 3, 3 single shades are done. Continue work remaining 6 single shades in the same way. We need to work 9 single shades in total. We'll skip the repeated parts. 9 single shades are done. Round 13 is finished. Now let's start making round 14 and 15 by using the same way. Also work 9 single shades in each round. We'll skip the repeated parts. Round 15 is finished. Then cut off the yarn, leave long yarn tail. Then stuff a little bit of cotton into the fabric. We can use a tool to poke it in. One of the legs is done. Continue to work the other leg in the same way. 2 legs in total. Now this video tutorial will teach you how to make the scarf of the bear. First, work it into a chain. Wrap the yarn around your little finger. Then bring it to your index finger. Pinch where the yarn with your thumb and the middle finger. Tie a knot. Put a hook under the yarn. Counterclockwise. There is 1 loop on the hook. Pinch where the line crosses with your thumb and the middle finger. Yarn around the hook. Put your yarn loop on the hook. Tighten it. Organize it. Work into the chain is done. Now let's start making round 1. In row 1, we need to work 50 chains. The first chain, yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. A chain is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. This is the back loop of the stitch. Place a marker on it. Now the second chain. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. The third chain. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. The fourth. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. The fifth. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. The sixth. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. 6 chains are done. Continue work remaining 44 crochets in the same way. We need to work 50 chains in total. We'll skip the repetitive parts. Insert a hook into back loop only of the second chain. Work the first crochet. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put out both loops on the hook. A single crochet is done. Now let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. Place a marker on the both strands of the V. This is where we insert a hook to start the next round. The second single crochet. Insert a hook into back loop only of the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put out both loops on the hook. The second single crochet is done. The third, insert a hook into back loop only of the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put out both loops on the hook. The third is done. The fourth. The fifth. Six crochets are done. Continue work remaining 43 crochets in the same way. 49 crochets in total. We will skip the repetitive parts. 49 crochets are done. Row 1 is finished. Now let's start making row 2. Turn the fabric around first, like this. Then work a chain. A chain is done. In row 2, we need to crochet in the back loop only. Which is this, close to us. In row 2, we need to work 49 crochets. All crocheted in the back loop only. The first crochet. Insert a hook in the first stitch. Work the first crochet. The first crochet is done. Place a marker on the first stitch. Work the second crochet. The second crochet is done. The third crochet. The fourth crochet. The fifth crochet. The sixth crochet. 6 crochets are done. Continue work remaining 43 crochets in the same way. We need to work 49 crochets in total. All crocheted in the back loop only. Don't mistake it. We'll skip the repeated parts. 49 stitches are done. Then cut off the yarn. Leave long yarn tail. Put out the yarn tail. Pass the yarn through the needle. Hide the yarn tails. Like this. Back and forth a few times. After fixing the yarn, cut off the yarn. Organize it. Then hide this yarn too by using the same way. The scarf of the bear is done. Now this video tutorial will teach you how to make the nose of the bear. First, make a magic ring. Insert a hook into loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There's one loop on the hook. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn loop on the hook. The magic ring is done. Now let's start making round 1. In round 1, we need to work 6 sunshades. The first sunshade, insert a hook into loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. A sunshade is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. Place a marker on the both strands of the V. This is where we insert a hook to start the next round. The second sunshade, insert a hook into loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. The second sunshade is done. The third, insert a hook into loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put both loops on the hook. The third one is done, the fourth. The fifth. The sixth. 6 sunshades are done. Now put the yarn hard to close the ring. Put the yarn hard until it can't be pulled. We're working in spirals, so we don't need to make slip stitches and chains to join the round. Now let's start making round 2. Remove the marker. In round 2, we need to work 6 increases, and increase means working 2 sunshades in the same stitch. The first sunshade, insert a hook in the first stitch. Put the yarn on top of the hook. Work a sunshade first. A sunshade is done, place a marker on the first stitch. Insert a hook in the same stitch and work another sunshade. An increase is done, the second increase. Insert a hook into the next stitch. Work a sunshade first. A sunshade is done, then work another sunshade in the same stitch. The second increase is done, the third insert a hook into first stitch. Work single shade first. A single shade is done, then work another single shade in the same stitch. 3 increases are done. Continue work remaining 3 increases in the same way. The fourth increase. The fifth increase. The sixth increase. Six increases are done. Then work slip stitch in the marked stitch. Remove the marker. Insert a hook into stitch, hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Hook the first loop and pull through a second loop. Round 2 is finished. Then cut off the yarn. Leave long yarn tail for sewing. Put out the yarn tail. Slightly. Pass the yarn through the needle. Then pass the needle through the stitch. And then back to here. Like this. Organize it. Then put away these yarn tails. Cut it off. The nose of the bear is done. Now this video tutorial will teach how to make the tulip bouquet. First, let's crochet its flower bud. And then add the wires to assemble them together. Then crochet the leaves. Wrap the green yarn. First make a magic ring. Insert a hook into the loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There is 1 loop on the hook. Yarn around the hook, put the yarn to the loop on the hook. The magic ring is done. Now let's make a round 1. In round 1, we need to work 6 single shades. The first single shade, insert a hook into the loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put yarn to both loops on the hook. A single shade is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. Place a marker on the both ends of the V. This is where we insert a hook to start next round. The second single shade. Insert a hook into the loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put out both loops on the hook. The second single shade is done. The third one, insert a hook into the loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put out both loops on the hook. The third single shade is done. The fourth single shade, insert a hook into the loop on your middle finger. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. yarn around the hook and put your both loops on the hook. The 4 crochet is done, the 5 crochet. The 6 crochet. 6 crochets are done. Now put your yarn hard to close the ring, tighten it. Put your yarn hard until it can't be pulled. We are working in spirals, so we don't need to make slip stitches and chains to join the round. Round 1 is finished. Now let's start making round 2. In round 2, we need to work 6 increases. An increase means working 2 crochets in the same stitch. The first increase. Remove the marker. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work crochet first. A crochet is done, place a marker on the first stitch. Then instead of hooking the same stitch and work another crochet. An increase is done, the second increase. Instead of hooking to the next stitch, work a crochet first. A crochet is done, then instead of hooking the same stitch and work another crochet. The second increase is done, the third increase, work a crochet first. A crochet is done, then work another crochet in the same stitch. The third increase is done. Continue work remaining 3 increases in the same way. The fourth increase. The fifth increase. The sixth increase. Six increases are done. Round 2 is finished. Now let's start making round 3. In round 3, we need to repeat a set of 1 crochet, 1 increase for 6 times. An increase means working 2 crochets in the same stitch. The first set. Remove the marker. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work the first crochet. The first crochet is done. Place a marker on the first stitch. And remember to do that on the first stitch of every round. Then work an increase in the next stitch. An increase means working 2 crochets in the same stitch. An increase is done. The first set is done. The second set, first work crochet. Then work an increase. The third set, first work crochet. Then work an increase. The fourth set, first work crochet. Then work an increase. The fifth set. The sixth set. Six sets are done. Round 3 is finished. Now from round 4 to 8, we all need to work 18 crochets in each round. That is to work 1 crochet in every stitch. Now let's start making round 4. Remove the marker. Instead of hooking the first stitch, work the first crochet. A crochet is done, place a marker on the first stitch. Instead of hooking the next stitch, work the second crochet. The third. The fourth. The fifth. The 6. 6 crochets are done. Continue work remaining 12 crochets in the same way. We need to work 18 crochets in total. We'll skip the repeated parts. 18 crochets are done. Round 4 is finished. Then to work from round 5 to 8 by using the same way as round 4. Also work 18 crochets in each round. We'll skip the repeated parts. Round 8 is finished. Cut off the yarn. Leave long yarn tail for sewing. Put out the yarn tail. Then take out wire. Curve it a little bit. Pass it through the middle of the round 1. Here. Now stuff the filling card into the fabric. Stuff the flower bud and make it full. After stuffing, pass the yarn through the needle. And we start sewing. Fold it and sew. Find the right position. Put the yarn hard. Put the yarn hard until it can't be pulled. Then pass it through the other side. The same way. Put it hard. Back and forth again. And organize them. Fix the yarn. And pass the yarn through here, the middle of the round 1. The tulip bouquet is done. Now this video tutorial will teach you how to make the leaf of the tulip. Working into a chain. Tie a knot. Put a hook under the yarn. Counterclockwise. There's one loop on the hook. Pinch where the line crosses with your thumb and the middle finger. Yarn around the hook, put the loop on the hook. Tighten it. Organize the yarn. Working into a chain is done. Now we need to work 7 chains. The first chain. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. A chain is done. Let's zoom in. The V shape is a stitch. This is the back loop only of the stitch. Place a marker on it. The second chain. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. The third chain. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. The fourth chain. Yarn around the hook. Put the loop on the hook. The 5th chain. The 6th chain. The 7th chain. 7 chains are done. Now let's skip the first chain and start crochet a single crochet on the back loop only of the second chain. Insert a hook in the first stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put your both loops on the hook. A single crochet is done. Now we need to work 4 half double crochets. The first half double crochet, yarn around the hook and insert a hook in the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put your 3 loops on the hook. The first half double crochet is done. The second, yarn around the hook and insert a hook into the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put your 3 loops on the hook. The second half double crochet is done. The third, yarn around the hook. Insert a hook into the next stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put your 3 loops on the hook. The third half double crochet is done. The fourth. Four half double crochets are done. Then work a single crochet in the marked stitch. Remove the marker. Insert a hook into the stitch. Hook the yarn and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and put your both loops on the hook. A single crochet is done. Cut off the yarn. Put out the yarn tail. The leaf of the tulip is done. Now let's assemble them together. Take out the green yarn. Leave a part of yarn tail. Pinch the pink yarn and pull it downward. Wrap the green yarn on the wire. Like this, and then put the leaves on here. In this way, wrap the leaves like that. Ensure the green yarn covers the other yarns up. And then wrap the yarn like this. Put your heart when you're doing this. Wrap around evenly. We can wrap the yarn a little bit longer. And we can cut it off later. Now cut off the yarn. Tie 2 knots. Must pull the yarn hard. The length of the flower stalks is about 5 to 6 centimeters. You can adjust the length according to your own preference. Then put glue on it. Wait for it to become solid. After this, we cut off the rest extra yarns. Cut from the glued place, which is here. And then glue the bottom. Solidify the flower stalks. And then wait for a second. The tulip is done. Now let's sew the hands of the bear into the main body, between round 19 and 20. Cross 8 stitches. The front side is with the eyes. Be parallel to this side. Like this. Now light sewing. Pass the yarn through the needle. Fold it and sew a stitch. Here. Take out the pin. Pick 3 stitches backward. Through here. Then pass the needle through the arms. After sewing well, we head a yarn, like this. Back and forth a couple of times, in order to fix the yarn well. Then cut off the yarn. One of the bear's hands is done. Now sew the other hand by using the same way. Now let's sew the ears into the main body. The ears are sewed between round 3 and 10. The 2 pins are crossed 6 rounds, the same way in this side. Fix the ears by pins. And check it out. The position of the ears and arms is in a straight line. The same in this side. You can adjust it according to your own situation if you feel unsymmetrical. Now let's handle the ears. First fold it and sew up. Fix the ears like this. Sew the bottom together. Then sew the ears into the main body. Then let's solidify it again. Like this. Add more stitches for enhancing. The same as the top. Put a yarn hard. Now head a yarn tails, the same way as before. Then cut off the yarn. One of the ears is done. Now sew the other ear by using the same way. We'll skip the repeated parts. Now let's sew the nose and the mouth of the bear. By using these two dark brown yarns. Sew a line on the white part. Then glue this triangular nose to it, like this. Then cut off the yarn. Tie 2 knots. And cut off the extra yarn. Only leave a small part of yarn tail. Now let's handle the white yarn. Sew it or glue it. We will glue it to hide the white yarn. Same way as the scarf. Pick the yarn tail on the fabric. After hiding, we cut off the yarn. Then let's glue the white part into the main body. In here. You put glue here on the back. Be careful with your hands when using glue. The yarn is vertical. Don't mistake it, be careful. Then we put a little glue on top of the dark brown yarn. Glue it like this. Organize it. Here is what it looks like. Next, we sew the bear's leg into the main body. Between round 24 and 28. Cross 3 stitches. Then he was underneath the back of the bear's head. Same in this side. Also use positioning pins to fix the legs. Look like this. You can adjust the position according to your own preference. Now let's start sewing. Pass the yarn through the needle. Tighten it. Pick stitches of the main body and sew it stitch by stitch. And pass the needle back through here. Tighten it too. Then we pick a stitch on the leg. And then pass the needle back through here. Hide the yarn. Then cut off the yarn. One of the bear's leg is done, sew the other leg by using the same way. Now fix the tulip onto the bear. Fix the tulip on the left, which is round 3, thickest by the green yarn. Back and forth a couple of times. After fixing the tulip, we hide the yarns. Fix it in here, the same way as before. Tie a knot at last. It will be more stable. Then cut off the yarn. Poke the extra yarn tail in. Do not expose it outside. Hide this yarn by using the same way too. After assemble the tulip flower well, we put on the scarf. Then tie a knot. Looks like this. The bear with a flower is finished.